Okay, guys, we're going to talk about the muscle and nervous tissue, the last of our four main tissue types. Now, as I mentioned before, these guys we're going to actually see again this semester, and we're going to talk about them in more detail. So this section is not nearly as long or involved because we are going to cover it again later on in the semester. Nervous tissue, we have two basic types. There are neurons, the nerve cells themselves, and neuroglia, which are all the cells that help it, that support it. These are the guys that receive electrical signals and then pass it on to the other cells. How do I tell these guys are neuron cells? Well, the weird shape is about the best one I know of on this one. If you look over here, you can see roughly we call these kind of star-shaped, but these are fairly easy. Where you're going to find neurons, you're going to find them in your brain, in the spinal cord, in the nerves that run throughout the body to supply muscles with control or to bring back sensation. Ganglia are cell bodies that are outside the central nervous system. Okay, guys, muscle tissue. Muscle tissue has the ability to contract. In other words, it goes from this and it starts pulling inward from both sides and becomes this. Okay? It doesn't get any smaller in diameter. I'm just showing you as far as that. So all muscles pull. We'll talk about this in more detail. Three types that we're interested in: skeletal, cardiac, and smooth. Skeletal muscle is under voluntary control. These are things that your brain directly controls, your conscious brain directly controls. I'll tell you more about striation and everything when we see the picture. Cardiac muscle is involuntarily controlled. As a matter of fact, it basically sets its own pace. The brain, all it does is either slow it down or speed it up. And finally, we have smooth muscle, which again is involuntary controlled. These guys are going to be the muscles that we don't control, like the muscles that control how wide our blood vessels are, contract them. These are the muscles that push things through our GI tract and so forth. Okay, here's our skeletal muscle. First thing, striation. Striation means striped. So these guys are striped. Notice something else. They are straight and parallel. And they have multiple nuclei. There's more than one nucleus per cell. So these guys are easy. Where are you going to find them in your skeletal muscles? The tongue, lips, eyelids, urethra, anus. Those are all skeletal muscles. Okay. Cardiac muscle. Only place you find that is in the heart. Now, it's harder to see over here, but hopefully you guys can tell. This is striated. It's striped, just like the skeletal muscle. Well, how do I tell these guys apart? These guys branch and connect up with other muscles, and their connection takes place in these kind of things right here. Those are called intercalated discs. That connects these guys physically and electrically. So, striation, usually these guys have one at the very most two nuclei. They're not multinucleated like the skeletal. But probably the easiest way to remember is they're striped and they branch, and they don't go this straight thing like skeletal muscle. Okay, finally we get smooth muscle. My little thing don't work on there. It's okay. This is going to be in the walls of the hollow organs, like the viscera and the blood vessels, the erector pili muscles we'll talk about, and the involuntary sphincters, the iris of the eye. Now, how in the world am I going to tell this apart from dense regular connective tissue? You're going to look for these cigar-shaped nuclei. Yeah, they've got muscle fibers running through here, muscle cells. And these guys are going to have a single nucleus, which is going to be cigar-shaped, and no stripes. Okay, guys, what in the world can that be? That can only be a neuron, nervous tissue. What about this? Striped and straight? It's got to be skeletal muscle. This guy, you can barely tell that he's striped, but look at all these branch points. It's got to be cardiac muscle. Cigar-shaped nuclei, it's got to be the smooth muscle. All right, guys.